The Road to Macstock and the Midwest Mac BBQ with Barry Fulk. This is Mac Voices. Today's Mac Voices is supported by Kolide. Kolide ensures only secure devices can access your cloud apps. It's zero trust, tailor-made for Okta. Book a demo today at kolide.com/MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're on the road to Macstock, and at the end of July in Woodstock, Illinois, and this is one of our Road to Macstock shows, but it kind of is and it kind of isn't, because this is sort of a subset. I think I'm going to call it the Road to the Midwest Mac BBQ. Barry Fulk is here to tell us why it is and it isn't a Road to Macstock. Barry, it's great to see you. It's been way
Thanks,
too
Chuck.
long. Way too long.
Yes, it has. And I really appreciate you having me on. It's almost like a detour on the way to Macstock, but one I hope that will be worthwhile.
Well, I definitely wanted to cover it because, you know, the Midwest Mac BBQ, the Midwest Mac Mingle, I mean, the events that you've put on, the social events, have had a long relationship with Macstock, and that relationship continues. But as usual, there's a little twist to it, which is what we all come to expect from you.
Yeah, and I love the social aspect, and a lot of this started after Macworld was put on hiatus, that I missed that live community event. It was such an integral part of what I liked and enjoyed, and wanted to do something, but I wasn't really sure at first. So this goes back, I don't know, was it 2015 or 16 when we first did it? And I started reaching out to some of the local people in the Chicago area saying, hey, if I throw a barbecue, you know, come on by. And it was just, I figured the Mac community in the Chicago area that people I knew would be relatively small. Start out maybe 6, 10, 12 people. And then it started to grow. When the word got out, I was on a variety of shows. I believe one of yours, I was on with Allison and Steve for Podfeet, and then it kept going. And then Mike and I started talking about doing this conference because he's been wanting to do this for years. But with Macworld, it was kind of like it was difficult to have both. And he goes, hey, you now have a larger audience. What if we do the conference right after the barbecue? And I'm like, that sounds great. So again, word gets out, and then the numbers started climbing to 30, 40, 50, 60. And I think we ended up near 125 when it was all said and done. So imagine, if you haven't been there, these are people in the house and our backyard. So fortunately, again, we know the community is amazing, and we had an absolute blast. We had 3 podcasts going at one point. You know, we had food catered in. People are just having a great time, and we had people from literally all over the world. And it was such a heartwarming event, and the way people just helped us out in terms of whether they'd bring food or drinks or threw a few dollars our way and cleaning up. I mean, the house was as clean as when it started. I mean, it was amazing. And I was just so touched by this. And of course, that spawned future events that I would do at Macstock itself. But with the pandemic and, you know, a variety of other factors, and the fact that I've moved out of Illinois, made it a challenge to do anything with Macstock, certainly not last year. But in talking to certain people again, they're like, well, what do you think about doing it again? And I'm like, but I'm in California. I still have the house in Chicago. My wife still lives there, and we split time back and forth. But as I started to talk to people, they were like, yes, please do this. And, you know, they'll help out. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I talked to Mike Potter, and he's like, that'd be great. And we started looking at dates, and we thought in the past we did it either the night of or the night before Macstock started. And it was a bit of a logistical challenge because I'm by the airport, O'Hare Airport, and then you'd have to go roughly an hour up to Woodstock. So we're like, what if we do this Thursday? And that way people could fly in a day early, stay ideally close to O'Hare. It's really easy to get to that area to the house. And then Friday, go downtown Chicago, or just take your time going up to Woodstock. That way you don't have to rush around. Relax, check in, and then Saturday morning, boom, you're right there. So we all felt that this would be very workable. So officially, it is Thursday, July 20th. Time is pretty open. Pretty much, there's a form that I'll talk about in a minute. But let me know what time you're arriving. We're thinking we'll start around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then just kind of keep it going through the evening. I mean, last time I think it was like 2 a.m. was by the last person leaving. And it was, again, an absolutely wonderful time. And so we thought, let's do this again. I think it'll be a little bit different because people will need to come in, but there's a good local community. And there's people that I've met. A good example is Dave Ginsburg, who's literally not even 10 minutes away from my house. We didn't even know each other back then. And again, it was a great opportunity to meet him. And, he's got a lot of connections in the Chicago area. Of course, Mike does. And a lot of the people that are coming or speaking, they've been very positive in saying that they'll be there too. So it's hard to guess on numbers. I don't think it'll be 125. I think it'll probably be about half of that. But we're climbing. So again, I'm super excited. Basically, the only thing is I just ask that you either know me or you know someone that knows me. So Chuck, all your listeners would pretty much qualify since they know you. And I think that'll be great. So the easiest way to get updates, I did have a website in the past that's long gone. So I'm just using my own domain. So it's barryfulk.com, BARRYFULK.com. And it just has updates that I put out there about information about the event, and I'll be updating that regularly. And you can email me from there to let me know you're coming or you're interested or have questions. Mike was generous enough to put a link on the Macstock website as well. So if you go there, and I'll send that link to you, Chuck. It's a nice little form that basically says who you are, best way to contact you, email or phone, and tell me the number of attendees so I can get a gauge for the catering purposes. But one thing I wanted to do that in addition to just the barbecue and hanging out, which again would be awesome, but this is all about having a good time. Being out in California and just in general, having gained a real appreciation of wines, I thought, why not make it a barbecue and a wine event? So I'm thinking of like 2 or 3 times over the evening, I do like a little wine tasting, pour some of my favorite wines, talk about it if people are interested. Of course, I'll have, everything from water and sodas and juices and beer, but I wanted to kind of expand it to something that I thought would be fun. And if you were at the barbecue last year, you probably remember a room that was just that traditional Midwest formal dining room, living room that no one ever uses. So we actually converted that into a wine lounge.
Oh,
So it's a much more friendly, open place. We have some nice chairs. There's our wine coolers there. We even have a riddling rack, if you're familiar with that, where they used to turn the champagne bottles when it was being stored, and some barrels for tables. So it's a much more inviting room. And I thought this would be a great way. People come to the house, come on in, chat there, go out into the deck. Again, the backyard will be set up like we did before with a tent and the food. And then we also changed part of the backyard where the deck is about half enclosed now. And so there's a roof over that's permanent, and it's just nice and open. So if it's a little cool out, we can have a fire table going and keep people warm. If it's warm, there's a nice fan up there that'll blow the air around. So I'm just looking for a really good time. So that's pretty much the plan this year. And hope we can get some of your viewers to attend.
MacVoices is supported by Kolide at kolide.com/MacVoices. Clicking on the wrong link can cause you plenty of headaches if it's just you. But if it's your company, the possibility of clicking a wrong link is multiplied by the number of users, right along with the headaches. Your users don't mean to create a problem, but they have other things on their priority list. That's why Kolide works so well for Okta users. You can get your entire fleet to 100% compliance. If a device isn't compliant and tries to log in, it can't. The user is provided with the information on what needs to be done. If they do it, great. If not, they're blocked. Immediate, helpful device compliance that secures your company. Without Kolide, there's nothing to stop an unsecure device. With Kolide, unsecure devices don't have a chance to cause issues. And this is all built to work seamlessly with Okta. zero trust architecture, and 100% device compliance. That means fewer support tickets and less frustration all around. Just what the doctor ordered. Visit kolide.com/MacVoices to learn more or book a demo. That's Kolide, KOLIDE.com/MacVoices. Kolide.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Kolide for supporting MacVoices. Okay, so a lot of questions here. So first of all, I love the idea that you're expanding it. I really like the idea of Thursday night, just because that way you don't feel like, oh, okay, but I got to get back to the hotel. I got to get a little sleep because I know I
Right.
won't get much Saturday night. So that definitely, I mean, it makes it a long weekend, but also I think it's well worth it. That's the first thing. The second thing is a logistical question. When does the quote unquote registration, or whatever you're calling it, close? Because you need to have some time to.
Sure.
We talked about this with Mike. That you don't just make the decision to go, no go, or add 30 people, the night before. So
Yeah, exactly.
when will this be? It's like, if you're coming, you're coming, and if you're not, you're not.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I would ask people to really register before July 1st. So it gives me, 2 to 3 weeks to get all the food catered in. And then, because I want to have chairs and other things around the backyard so people are comfortable. And that gives me enough time. And if you're not sure, you can always just say, hey, I'm still on the fence. If it's one or two people, that really isn't a big deal. So Chuck, you and I will decide it'll be July 1st is the cutoff date.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So, folks, if you're interested, please let Barry know no later than July 1st. That way, he can address all the issues and make it a great event.
Yeah, and I've got some light information now on the website. But again, if you have questions about logistics from the airport, hotels in the area, I've got a lot of information I can send to you and customize it based upon your needs. Hey, I'm flying in on, I like to fly on this airline, or I'm flying in from the city. And they have these options of times, and certainly will provide my thoughts. And then whether you're doing ride shares or, just renting a car, again, it's really easy from O'Hare. They've actually done a nice job where they've extended the tram that goes right into the rental car station. And it's actually a good place to pick up if people are doing that. And so the thought is we're going to get either a Discord or a Slack channel, something out in the next few weeks, to help people who are, hey, I'm flying in at 3:00 on Thursday, and then someone else is coming in at 3:10. Maybe they can share a ride in together. I think that would be great. So again, that'll be information that I'll post on the website.
Yeah, I've definitely wanted to get you on earlier in the Road to Macstock series, just because of the logistics and people making flight plans and all.
Sure.
If they're going to come in, they're going to come in a day early, and that means they have to figure out the hotel situation also. That was really important.
Right.
Again, I was really excited when I heard about this, because I remember distinctly when Allison, when you did the first one, and Allison called and said, "Hey, Barry's thinking about doing something. Would you be interested?" And it's like, well, of course I would be interested. And the first one was so much fun, and every event that you've done in conjunction with Macstock has been fun. I mean, the Midwest Mac Mingle was a blast. And the pandemic kind of disrupted everything,
Sure.
because everything was rolling along wonderfully, and then it all exploded. So I'm glad that now, I know, last year was a bit of a challenge. I know last year, I've said it a dozen times on the show, the week before I contracted COVID and didn't feel it was right for me to come.
Right.
So this year it looks like that'll be, for everyone, a whole lot less of an issue, I hope. And that, we can get things back to where Macstock and the Midwest Mac BBQ, and now the Midwest Mac BBQ and wine tasting, should be.
Yes.
So
exactly. And it's just, in part of that's, re-energized, because I've missed that contact for the last couple of years. And I'm like, there's no better way of doing what started at the beginning. We had a great time, and I really think this will be a fun event. And if nothing else, it'll just be good to see our friends again.
Well, Barry, my sense is that that's kind of what happened the first time. Is that, you heard about this, and maybe there was somebody that was on the bubble about coming to Macstock, and somebody said, well, there's this other event going too, and so come and you'll know people. And that's it. I mean, I know that I knew a bunch of the people there. I also met some people I hadn't met before, and that's probably the way it'll happen again. I sincerely hope. So folks, if you're interested, contact Barry, and if you have questions, contact Barry or contact me, and then I'll tell you to call Barry because I don't have any answers. But it's something that if you are coming to Macstock, you definitely should take that extra day and come to the Midwest Mac BBQ. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
It really is. And it's also an excuse if you've never been to Chicago. You could even throw another day at the before or after. It's a great city. There's so much to do. And I think they've had some rough times during the COVID years, and they've really pulled themselves back up. Downtown is vibrant again. A lot of places are back open. And I think it's a wonderful city regardless. The people are awesome. So again, if that's a question that you have, like, what could I do? The one sad thing is I think both baseball teams are out of town because we did that one year. So that unfortunately won't work, but there's a ton of good restaurants, museums, and just fun places to visit. So again, let me know. Make it a weekend.
So did I just hear an official, an actual announcement, or what's the word I want? Volunteer to be a tour guide at some point?
I'm certainly happy to provide some guidance on that. And depending on how things go, it's possible. We've done that in the past where we did a photo walk one year, and that was a lot of fun. We were around the north west side of Chicago in Lincoln Park. We've done the ball game where we had, I think, about 15 people go to see a White Sox game. And again, these are the type of events that are a lot of fun. So this year I'm going to stick mostly to the barbecue and the wine event, but I certainly have a lot of options if people are interested.
Perfect. So you're going to send me the link to the registration. There is a link on the Macstock site at Macstock-conference-expo.com where you can do the same thing and show up and have a good time. Meet some friends you didn't know you had before, and then stick around for a fantastic Macstock weekend.
Yeah, it'll be an absolute blast, and I can't wait to see you and the whole group. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I know I'm looking forward to it. I've already changed my travel plans because to accommodate. So I will be there. Maybe
excellent.
Maybe with wine bottles in hand. You never know.
I would never say no to that.
Yeah. Barry, thanks so much. Great to see you. I'm delighted that you're doing this. Thank you on behalf of everyone in the community for putting this back together.
No, thanks, Chuck. Thanks for having me on, and I will see you in July.
That sounds good, if not sooner.
Yes.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. Again, Macstock Conference and Expo is where you can go to get all the information about the conference, but also to get a link to Barry's Midwest Mac BBQ and wine tasting. I'm going to be there. I know a whole lot of our friends are already saying they're going to be there. You're going to hear from more of them that are presenting here on the road to Macstock. Stick around. There's a lot coming. Until the next time, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.